Hi everyone, Lisa here from Fireside Strategic. Welcome to our videocast, Humanity Builds Better Businesses, where we celebrate leaders that do transformational work within organizations, helping their clients grow and lead teams with humanity. Today, I'm happy to chat with Janet Davie, President and CEO of JLD Management. Janet, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to be invited.
Something that I would love to start with is to talk a little bit about why you do what you do. Can you tell our audience about your mission, a cause that you care deeply about that you're working toward?
Humanity in the workplace is really important to me, and the people that I work with, that's their cause as well, is to really change the way people show up at work, to the way that leaders engage with their staff. Culture is absolutely important to the executives I work with.
That's wonderful. Can you tell us about how your practice, JLD Management, helps leaders show up better at work, helps improve cultures?
Each person I work with as an individual has a different focus of something that they want to strengthen. So I work with many of them around their emotional intelligence assessments, and we start there. Sometimes it's as simple as self-awareness of how they're showing up to their people, observing them in their workplace. I've had one fellow, he's a very fast thinker, and I've watched him walk away as people were still talking because he'd finished the sentence in his mind. And he's primo. He's absolutely one of the greatest people you'll ever know. And once he heard that, the awareness is just everyone that I work with is working on something to improve. It's awesome.
I love that. So, continuing down the line, so the way that people are aware has a massive impact on the way they show up. What are the other things that you help them do to actually change the way that they show up, to actually show up better, to lead better?
It's through commitment. That's one of my core values, is commitment to achieve what you set up to do. So, and it's a soft accountability. I mean, it's their goals, not my goals. So I've had more often than not people say, hold me accountable to what I say I'm going to do. But it's only them telling me, right? I'm not with them 24/7. So it comes deep. It comes from deep inside of them. And it's me supporting them getting to their goals.
That's so interesting, because everyone comes with such a different set of goals. Everyone shows up very differently. Do you find that as a result, you have to be very flexible? Do you have a lot of variation from day to day?
I don't go with a program. I meet people where they're at, and it's their coaching session, not mine. I don't have a formula. I'm not a formulaic coach. I use the tools that I, of course, learned, and I'm still learning. I'm really big on continuous improvement and learning new ways of helping people. So it's where they're at. We start there.
Just to give us an idea of the breadth that you work with, what are some of the different kinds of clients that you interact with? Their industries, like where do they come from?
Oh my goodness. Heavy duty industry, like heavy duty construction, people that dig tunnels and things like that. So senior executives from that company, from those types of companies, pharmaceuticals, not for profit. I actually, every year I volunteer for a handful of people to coach folks that need some help that don't have the means. I think that giving back is vitally important. I've been called a serial volunteer by some people in the coaching community. It's important to me to help people be their support.
That's so important.
Yeah, the industry's huge: manufacturing companies, ports, construction, high tech, really a lot of people in high tech now, and manufacturing. Yeah, some big businesses. It's awesome.
That's amazing. Something that I'm very curious about is when you go to an industry like manufacturing or construction, those are not industries that are typically associated with a lot of emotion, a lot of vulnerability, a lot of humanity on average. I'm curious, what is that like to step into an industry which is a little bit more closed off, perhaps a little bit more buttoned up, and come in there and ask people to be more human, more warm, more open?
It's funny. They're looking for that. It's
Yeah.
not me pushing it. This has become a need. And 2020 more so has really shone a light on people wanting to be there for their people and understanding that it's not the business of business, it's the business of people. It's P2P now. It really is. And having your staff in a good spot is really important too. There's not one person that I work with that they all feel the same way. And different levels of feeling the same way. Some days they're a little bit more, an individual might be a little bit upset with a staff member or something, but they never want to just, I remember back in the day, we've got to get rid of that person. Now it's how do we help that person succeed? So the shift is huge.
Do you think that a lot of the shift has to do with the fact that the pandemic made people realize that things are more vulnerable, that businesses are built by people, people are feeling tender? I'm just curious to hear about your experience with how did the pandemic change the way people are showing up?
So the folks that I worked with before the pandemic and during the pandemic and still today were already those people. It just kind of really brought out the vulnerability in a whole different way, much more intense, I think. I want to keep my people. I don't want to let people go. How do I put my arms around this situation and really, really look after the folks and the caring? I've learned so much from how deeply people care about the people that work for them. And something else that you brought up at the beginning of this question, I'm also seeing that this is a generational thing. I'm thinking that the old rough and ready, and I worked in those industries, being an accountant in manufacturing and service industries and things like that, being the controller. The industry, the world has changed. It's much more, at least the people I work with are focusing on success of their people.
I love the way that you put that the world is changing and people are caring more about their own people. And not only is that having an impact on them, but it's having the impact in the whole organization. This is pretty big stuff.
It's huge. It's huge. And the opportunity to develop folks, like people are sending people for training, they're offering them coaching. I have several people, I'm coaching the leader of the organization, and they've reached out to me to please coach this person and that person and that person, because they see the value of giving their people someone, just an ear to hear what they're thinking and what they're struggling with. And it's totally confidential.
That's wonderful. It sounds like the business world may actually be changing for the better a little bit because of the type of work that you're doing.
I would say yes. I know that there's still struggles and there's still so many pieces. And of course, companies have to make a profit to stay in business, but they're also spending time and effort and money on their people.
Well, and the beautiful thing, at least from the work that we do, is we see that when you spend that time and money on people, the people can do much better work. The people can thrive, which shows up on the bottom line. It helps them, the company, with that financial goal as well.
And I think that having a sense of humor really helps sometimes, that breaking the tension, and not when it's a serious issue or anything like that, but not being the heavy all the time when you're the leader of a company, and relaxing is really important. I know that when I facilitate meetings for folks, that's the first place I go to break down the barriers, because some of the junior people or the younger people that are there are not so sure of how this day is going to go. And if you can start it with a little bit of frivolous icebreakers or something like that, it changes the environment pretty quickly.
I think that,
especially when the leader makes a little bit of a, I wouldn't say fool of themselves, but really fits in with the crew. It makes the day so much easier.
I couldn't agree more. I think humor is very powerful.
Yeah.
And I love that you use humor in your work to open people up, to get them to get into their body, to feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Yes. Yep. I'm very lucky. The people that I work with are forward thinking, caring people. So I'm like I said, I'm very lucky. I'm lucky to find them and have some long-term relationships with people.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I would love to take a step back and talk a little bit about you and your journey. You're doing such important work that's clearly been influenced by your prior experiences. Could you tell us a little bit more about your story and what brought you to this mission and this work?
Holy smokes. I've spent my career working my way up. So in every level of the organization, started answering phones and deciding that I wanted to be the big kahuna in my field. And yeah, exactly. I went to school, night school, correspondence mostly, and attained my accounting designation over years and years. Like, it was not easy. So through that, I worked in many different organizations. I didn't stay anywhere in my career longer than 5 years. So, and I've failed so many times at things that I really wanted to achieve, and not failed permanently, but that's my education, is trying things, attempting things, and learning. It's part of the education. So one foot in front of the other. One of my core values is growth, and it always will be. I'm still going to school.
I love that. I believe in growth as well. Something that I find very inspiring is you were working in these industries and you were observing the human challenges around you, even when you were working more junior roles. And I love that you took those experiences and that fueled the amazing executive coach and leader that you've become today.
It's absolutely the truth. And to get from that mess to now, I had a coach, and I had an amazing coach. I was looking for a place to land, because I often took the tough jobs to help companies that were losing money or going under, or to try and build them up. And the last position I had was a really challenging one. And I sought out a coach, and through many weeks and lots of hard work, she finally said, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I don't think you like accounting. I really think you're a coach. Have you ever thought about, because my thing was building up the staff, helping them get the courses they needed, helping them get the training they needed, all of those things. But I didn't realize that I was kind of entrepreneurial as well.
That's amazing that your coach took that moment to say, come, welcome, join our world.
No, she said, have you ever considered taking a course? She did not say that.
A beautifully coachy way to ask that.
No, so of course I went to school. It's part of who I am. I believe that if you're going to call yourself something, you better have the education to back it up.
I 100% agree. Going forward, what's the plan? Who do you want to work with? And what kind of work do you want to be doing in the coming, it's the beginning of 2021, in the coming year?
Oh boy. I continue what I'm doing. I'm loving what I do. The people that I work with, I have a few new clients starting in 2021 that I'm excited to get to know and work with. I'm going to keep learning, evolving. I've in 2020, I took the inaugural team coaching, global team coaching course. So I'd like to get more impact in organizations where I work with teams, not only the leader. I can see that there's a shift coming, and bringing coaching into organizations is really important to me.
I love that. When you say you see there's a shift coming, can you elaborate on that a little more?
I see it as it starts in our education system, where people have come through school as part of a team, and they hit an organization and they're alone. It's like, but I come through our school system and I didn't make a decision by myself. There was a collaboration. And I see that becoming a need in organizations where teams really sort through their gaps and work together. I think it's a very powerful time.
I love that you're positioned kind of in such a beautiful space at the right time. Yeah.
I'm hoping so. I know that the leadership and the owners of companies are really looking to build, I guess, resilience. I know resilience has been an overused word, resilience and pivot in 2020, but seriously, resilience in the team is really important. And I think culture is huge.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to see you grow into these organizations and help build that resilience and better culture. This is the most important work.
I love it. I love every minute of it. Didn't know that that's who I was supposed to be, but it's not a moment of work for me. I'm always very excited to see my people, even if it's on Zoom for now. Some of us go for walks. We do our 2-hour coaching session outside, having a walk, even in the rain, and it's very powerful.
That's beautiful. Well, look, Janet, as we come towards the end of our time together, a note that we like to end on is we've talked about a lot of serious things about business, about culture, about people, about resilience. But I'm curious, when you're not making such important leadership changes, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, get outside. Get outside, hiking, walking. We actually camp in a tent every summer.
Yeah.
I have 2 beautiful granddaughters. It's very important that they are, well, the whole family believes in nature and being outside and playing. We play, we do goofy things.
So the humor and the play is in work and in personal life.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I love to eat. I cook and eat, but good food, not too much food.
Well, you're speaking my language. I also love good food and the outdoors.
Yes, it's the healing place, right? That's where the well-being is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
For me. So it's not video games. It's not being in the house. It's getting outside, and yeah, it's the peace.
Yeah, it's the same piece that we're hoping to bring into businesses. I actually think the place where we get that is nature.
Oh, I'll have to tell you, we talked about construction companies and things like that. Something else that's shifting is at least one of my guys, and probably more, have put in a meditation room in their construction company.
Wow, a meditation room in a construction company?
Oh, yes.
I love that. That's so beautiful.
So those are the types of people that I'm fortunate enough to work with.
That's very inspiring. I hope that more CEOs, more leaders, more people in general get inspired to put in things like meditation rooms to really prioritize the wellness of themselves and their staff.
Exactly. And yeah, I find a huge shift. That's
amazing. Well, look, Janet, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for inspiring us. You're wonderful. We really appreciate all your wisdom.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.